This story started with a big fight. Chris, the bossy leader of the team, told Lewin, our protagonist, to leave the group right away. Chris said there was no room in the team for someone who wasn't strong and was completely useless. Mia, the only girl in the group and someone Lewin used to think was his close friend, sided with Chris. Mia pointed out that Lewin was supposed to be a monster tamer, but he had never even tamed a tiny slime. Lewin was shocked. He couldn't speak. He had grown up with these people. He had trusted them, and now they were turning against him. It hurt more than getting stabbed with a sword. When Lewin finally gathered enough strength to speak, he admitted his shortcomings, but insisted he'd been training relentlessly to improve. Before he could finish, Chris interrupted him. Chris said everyone else in the group had a clear ability, but Lewin had no ability and was just holding them back. Lewin tried to explain that he was close to getting his power. Lewin further explained that he had recently fulfilled one of the conditions necessary to level up into a high-class role. But Mia rolled her eyes and said Lewin always made silly excuses. Mia said Lewin had to tame many monsters to reach that level, which was impossible for someone who couldn't even tame a bug. Chris was curious when he heard Lewin mention a second condition. He asked Lewin what the second condition was. When Lewin hesitated, unable to give a precise answer, Chris ordered him to check his oracle. Lewin opened it, and according to his oracle, his power would only unlock after he met a certain kind of monster. When Chris asked where and when that monster would appear, Lewin didn't know, which infuriated him. Chris, even though they were childhood friends, angrily said he was disappointed in Lewin. When Lewin pointed out that Chris was just kicking him out because the group was about to be promoted to hero rank, Chris didn't deny it. Chris declared he was the chosen one and took all the credit for the team's victories. Lewin tried to remind them that they had won because they worked together. But Mia interrupted again and said it was only because of Chris. Then Chris explained that to become a hero group, everyone had to be a rank or higher. Chris was already an S rank, but Lewin was just B rank, 2 whole levels below and completely disqualified. Chris made it clear. No more chances. Lewin had to leave. He said they couldn't keep a dead weight who slowed them down. Lewin, still shocked, reminded Chris and Mia about the promise they made as kids to travel together and bring peace. But Chris responded coldly, stating that even though they had made such promise, everyone else had leveled up, while Lewin had failed to live up to the expectation. Lewin asked if everyone in the group wanted him gone. Chris, with his arm around Mia, said yes, it was a team decision. 2 weeks later, Lewin sat alone in a bar, drinking. He was no longer the happy adventurer he used to be. He was tired and sad. Around him, people talked about something scary. A new demon king had appeared, and monsters were going wild. Cities were getting attacked. Towns were being destroyed. Long ago, the goddess Alfira had made both spirits and demons to live in the world. But the demons got greedy and started wars. To save the world, Alfira locked many demons away and made humans instead. The demons that were left behind got jealous and began attacking humans. To stop them, the goddess gave special powers to some humans. These humans became heroes. Lewin always looked up to heroes. He dreamed of being one. But now, that dream felt far away. Still, while eating the same beef stew he once shared with his old friends, something inside him started to burn again. Maybe, just maybe, he could still level up. The oracle had said he needed to find a special monster. So Lewin started taking monster taming jobs from the Adventurer Guild. His goal was simple: find the monster that would unlock his power. But life had other plans. On his very first mission, something terrible happened. Demons suddenly attacked the town. People screamed. Buildings burned. Lewin ran toward the danger, thinking he'd fight small monsters. Instead, what he found was a nightmare. Demons rampaging, townsfolk screaming, and a wyvern orchestrating the destruction. The wyvern threw fireballs at people. Lewin froze in fear. But when the wyvern grabbed a little boy, Lewin jumped into action. He saved the boy and made the wyvern angry. The wyvern called in 3 more wyverns. They all started shooting fire, but Lewin dodged and used his sword to take down one of the wyverns with a single sword strike. Seeing this, the rest of the wyverns hesitated and were shocked that Lewin had taken down one of them with a single blow. But Lewin didn't stop there. He spotted a bow and a quiver filled with arrows which he grabbed. Then, he launched an air attack against the flying wyverns, and fired with Robin Hood accuracy, striking another wyvern clean in the eye mid-fall. The remaining demons retreated, realizing they had underestimated their opponent. But before leaving, the lead wyvern issued a cryptic warning. that the attack on the town was merely a distraction and their main concern was finding the castle. The wyvern also promised to get revenge before finally departing with the rest. That detail clung to Lewin's thoughts. This made Lewin begin to wonder why the demons would prioritize finding the castle over destroying the town. If it was because of some ancient weapon, or anything that could increase the demons' overall power, Lewin knew the demons mustn't lay their hands on it, or else the town would be in danger. Lewin might not be a hero, but the last thing he wanted was to see innocent people die mercilessly at the hands of the demons. Hours later, Lewin followed his gut and went to the forest, trying to find the castle before the demons did. As he walked through the rough woods, he tripped and fell down a hidden slope. Bruised but alive, Lewin looked up and saw it. A colossal, ruined castle, steeped in darkness. Cautiously, Lewin stepped inside the castle. Inside, the castle was silent. Dust danced in the stale air. The ruins whispered of long-forgotten history, making him wonder who might have lived in the castle before all the wreckage. As he opened the castle door, he noticed a shadowy corridor. Through the corridor, he discovered an underground passage leading to a vast ballroom, with its far end glowing with a soft green light. Curious, Lewin moved to check the light. When he got close, he saw a big green crystal. Inside the crystal was a girl, trapped in chains. Lewin was scared. Lewin fearfully wondered who the girl was and why was she trapped inside the crystal. Most importantly, he questioned if the chains around the crystal was more like a seal, to seal the girl from getting out. Curiosity got the better of him, and he placed his hand on the crystal. Just as Lewin's hand touched the crystal, it instantly started to emit a bright light. At that instant, his oracle system popped up and said the two conditions had been met: taming 1,000 monsters and meeting the Demon King. As Lewin stood there in shock, wondering if the girl inside the crystal was the Demon King, the system announced that his Monster Tamer class had upgraded to Demon King Tamer, shocking him. Before Lewin could make sense of what was going on, the system asked if he wanted to use his new skill. Not stopping there, amidst a very bright light, the system informed him that to execute the skill, all obstacles needed to be removed. Suddenly, the mysterious girl inside the crystal came out of the crystal. When she was finally out by some telekinetic power, she landed on top of Lewin. The system chimed in almost immediately, announcing that the situation had been resolved, and then asked Lewin again if he wanted to use his new skill. However, before Lewin could respond, the mysterious girl suddenly opened her eyes and asked if he was the one that broke the annoying hero seal. Lewin nervously ignored her question and demanded to know if she was the Demon King. The girl admitted she was, and then introduced herself as Sasha, the leader of the demons, aka the Demon King of Death. Lewin was dumbfounded. He had expected a monstrous tyrant, not some chick with a flat chest. When Lewin admitted his disbelief, explaining that he just became a Demon King Tamer, but he had never expected that the mighty Demon King was some little girl. Sasha could not believe what she had just heard and asked Lewin to repeat himself. Before Lewin could even say a word, Sasha flew into a rage. Sasha accused Lewin of hiding his intentions and attacked. But Lewin stepped to the side and she tumbled to the ground. When Lewin asked why she wanted to hurt the person who saved her, Sasha said demon tamers were evil and must die. To carry out the threat, Sasha started invoking her power of destruction, and soon the whole place was filled with mystic smoke. Following that, she summoned a black fire capable of incinerating everything in its path. Just as she hurled it at Lewin, asking him to die twice, the system asked again if Lewin wished to use his new skill. At that instant, Lewin's brain cells finally clicked, and he realized that truly he was the ultimate Demon King Tamer. This meant he could tame the Demon King, Sasha, with his newly acquired skills. Wasting no time, Lewin said yes to the skill. A magic collar appeared instantly and flew towards Sasha. Sasha tried to run, but the collar went right through her fire and locked around her neck. At that moment, Lewin's system confirmed that his skill had been used and Sasha was now his subordinate. Lewin stared at the slave collar on Sasha's neck in disbelief. He could not believe he had really tamed the mighty Demon King. Sasha, on the other hand, was furious and demanded to know why he had chosen to tame her of all beings. Nevertheless, she stubbornly swore to never submit to him. When Lewin nervously asked if she knew what a Demon King Tamer was, Sasha annoyingly replied that she does. Sasha informed Lewin that he was just like the last Demon Tamer, a lowly, power-hungry worm who exploited others like slaves and used them for his own selfish desires. Lewin tried insisting he was different, but Sasha wasn't convinced. She summoned more fire and screamed for him to break the bond. Lewin was scared at first, but when he remembered he had already tamed her, He summoned courage and gave his first command, asking Sasha to stay down. Sasha froze and uncontrollably dropped to her knees. This made Lewin proud of himself. When Sasha tried getting up, Lewin commanded her to remain down and her body had no choice but to remain pinned to the ground. But suddenly at that moment, the ground shook. From the entrance, demons, wyverns, and a towering ogre stormed into the room. Leading them was the same wyvern Lewin had fought earlier. The wyvern mocked Lewin, calling him Mr. No Skills, and demanded to know what the heck he was doing in the castle. Lewin ignored the mockery and demanded to know if the wyvern and his minions had come to rescue their demon king. The wyvern laughed darkly and replied that it was obvious. The wyvern made it known that they had not just come to rescue the demon king, but to also awaken all demons' kings. Lewin's blood ran cold hearing this. Before he could speak, Sasha interrupted. She commended the demons' excellent work and then instantly commanded them to finish Lewin off. She also instructed them to dispose Lewin's corpse where no one will ever find it. The demons wasted no time and started advancing towards Lewin, making Lewin a bit frightened considering their overwhelming size. Sasha was still stuck on the ground like a helpless puppy. She told the other demons that Lewin wasn't just any demon tamer. He was a special kind called a demon king tamer. That meant he couldn't control regular demons like them, so they were free to attack. But when the demons saw how weak and helpless Sasha looked, they started to wonder if she was even a real demon king at all. The leading wyvern, in particular, pointed out that the Sasha he remembered was supposed to be the most powerful demon king, not the weakling lying on the ground. Sasha tried really hard to explain that her pride and powers were taken away, but the demons didn't believe her. They thought they made a mistake and said she must be a fake. The wyvern leader even shouted that she wasn't the real Sasha. That made Sasha really angry. She looked at Lewin and yelled at him to destroy all the freaking demons for her. Lewin was surprised. He reminded her that she had told the demons to eliminate him first. But Sasha shouted back that anyone who called her fake literally deserved to be sent to the Shadow Realm. Just then, the wyverns, growing impatient, decided to put Sasha's situation on hold and focus on dealing with Lewin for the time being. Realizing he was their primary target, Lewin prepared himself. Suddenly, his oracle chimed in, informing him that to use his special skill, he had to say a magic chant in a certain language. In that tense moment, the oracle suggested that, for starters, Lewin could awaken his demon armor. With the demons getting closer every second, Lewin quickly shouted the chant and told the oracle to awaken his armor. Right away, the oracle said the skill was activated. A black wind began spinning around him. The oracle also said that Lewin could use Sasha's power to make powerful gear filled with destructive energy. Lewin didn't waste time. He used Sasha's power to make a weapon called the Blade of Rupture. When the demons saw Lewin holding the strange blade, they paused for a second, wondering what it was. But then they ignored it and charged at him again. Lewin, however, stood tall. As the demons charged toward him, he swung the Blade of Rupture. With each swing, the demons realized they were losing their authority, a kind of special demon power. Moreover, with every authority they lost, Lewin's blade grew larger. Relentlessly, Lewin continued to swing his mighty blade, and soon the demons found themselves unable to move an inch, their feet frozen to the ground. Seizing the opportunity, Lewin sliced through them effortlessly. When he slashed the mighty ogre in two, Sasha smiled, clearly impressed. The Blade of Rupture, a special demonic weapon, nullified the demons' authority and absorbed their dark power. With each power it absorbed, the blade doubled in size. Armed with this formidable weapon, Lewin defeated the demons one by one. The last wyvern, the boastful leader, attempted to flee. This time, however, Lewin noticed him. Immediately, the wyvern began begging for mercy. When Lewin coldly demanded to know why he should spare him after he had taken the lives of innocent villagers, the wyvern claimed he was different from the other demons. The wyvern explained that he was forced to join the group by the Demon King's followers. They had threatened to hurt him and his family if he didn't obey. At first, Lewin thought he was capping. But the wyvern promised he was telling the truth. He even said some demons just wanted to live in peace without fighting. Lewin asked if all the demons attacking humans were working with the current Demon King. The wyvern said yes. The wyvern also said the Demon King and his team planned to make all humans into slaves. Furthermore, he told Lewin about some other demons who lived quietly in a forest, trying to stay away from war. After hearing everything, Lewin was convinced. He let the wyvern go and told him to leave. But this made Sasha pissed. She looked surprised that Lewin showed mercy. Then Lewin remembered that Sasha was still under his control because of the bond. So he released her. Sasha got up from the ground, and as she walked over to Lewin, she demanded to know why he had refused to take the life of the wyvern. Lewin explained that the reason was that it reminded him of a human begging a demon not to hurt them. Lewin also explained that humans had always been lied to. People were told that demons were heartless beasts, creatures driven by power to oppress humanity. People were also warned never to negotiate with demons, but to wipe them all out whenever possible. But Lewin said all of those things were lies that humans were forced to believe. As Sasha listened carefully, Lewin said that not all demons were the same. To illustrate his point, he told a story about a researcher who met a group of demons in the mountains. But instead of attacking, those demons ran away because they were scared. Lewin added that he believed the wyvern he spared was one of such demons, scared of humans and just want to live peacefully. Sasha interrupted, asking if Lewin had ever harmed a defenseless demon. Lewin answered that he never hurt one unless they attacked him with intent to end his life. That answer impressed Sasha, who remarked that she admired his restraint in only eliminating demons that threatened his life. When Lewin thanked her for the compliment, Sasha blushed deeply. Sasha was curious and asked if demons and humans were still at war with each other. Lewin confirmed that they did, stating it had always been the way of the world. But Sasha didn't agree. She said maybe she had been asleep for so long that everyone forgot the truth. She told Lewin to listen closely. Sasha said demons and humans weren't always at war. In fact, there was a time when they lived together in peace. Sasha knew this because she helped make that peace long ago. Not everyone liked the idea, but many people and demons were happy to live together. Sasha said, with anger, that she almost made that peaceful world real, until the old hero Tamer sealed her away. Lewin was shocked and asked why the hero would stop her if she was pursuing a noble cause. Sasha guessed it might have been the will of the goddess Elfrifa. Sasha thought maybe the goddess didn't want demons and humans to live peacefully anymore. Lewin didn't find that answer very convincing. He asked Sasha why she still wanted peace between demons and humans if the goddess didn't want it. Sasha said she had her reasons, but more importantly, she wanted Lewin to help her. She said if they worked together, they could defeat the current demon king and make peace happen again. Lewin didn't quite understand her idea, so he asked if she meant they would work together to build a peaceful world for humans and demons. Sasha happily said yes. Then she told him her big plan. She wanted them to gather and lead all humans and demons together, so they could conquer the world together. Lewin laughed at her mentally deranged plan. He asked again, to make sure, if she really meant to build a world where demons and humans wouldn't fight anymore, and that she needed his help. Sasha hesitated, but then said yes, that's exactly what she meant. She also said their teamwork could actually be pretty great. Lewin thought hard and long about her idea. Lewin reasoned that if demons and humans shared the same feelings in their heart, there was no reason they couldn't coexist peacefully. So, he agreed to help Sasha and promised to give her his strength. As a first step, Lewin suggested they build a city where both humans and demons could live. Sasha liked the idea and said they could use her castle. It had big gardens and plenty of land to build homes. However, she cautioned that they needed the cooperation of the other demon kings first. Sasha said there were 7 other demon kings besides her, not counting the current demon king. If they combine all their powers, they would be unstoppable. Lewin wasn't sure they could convince all the demon kings, but Sasha said his demon taming power could help with that. Lewin didn't like that idea. He said he only used taming as a last resort and didn't want to force anyone. Sasha thought his thinking was brain dead. She warned that not all demon kings would be as reasonable as her. Some of them would try to end his life right away. Sasha said taming all of them was the only way their plan would succeed. Lewin saw her point, but he told Sasha clearly, if things didn't work out between them, he would cancel their taming contract. Sasha was shocked to hear this, so she told Lewin that he was nothing like the former demon tamer. Then, they stepped outside the castle. Outside, Lewin proposed they begin immediately by gathering companions to establish their base and then search for the other demon kings. Sasha agreed. But first Sasha insisted that she had to do something first. She cast a massive whirlwind of flame around the castle, and within seconds, the castle vanished. Surprised, Lewin asked if she had created an illusion barrier. Sasha said yes, and then explained she used the same kind of magic on the castle before she was sealed away. That spell had kept the castle safe for years, but because her magic had gotten weaker, the spell had slowly faded. After that, Lewin and Sasha started their journey to build a new world where demons and humans could live together in peace. Meanwhile, far away, deep inside the demon world, the current demon king, Theodora, learned that Sasha, the demon king of death, was alive and tamed. The news of another demon tamer's emergence troubled her, so she immediately ordered her demon army and wyverns to accelerate their plan to release the remaining sealed demon kings. Several days later, deep in a mountain, Chris and his party were in a heated battle with some demons and wyverns. Unfortunately, the demons kept coming at them, which frustrated them to no end. Nevertheless, they pushed through, but the overwhelming numbers of the monsters made the team's defense extremely weak. Suddenly, a Cyclops joined the ranks of monsters attacking them. This further worsened the situation for the team. Moreover, the Cyclops kept evading every one of their attacks and unleashed a powerful spell of his own called the Green Binding Seed Prison. The new monster tamer, who had joined the team after Lewin left, got caught in the spell and yelled for Chris to help. However, Chris, who was also in a tight spot with a wyvern, shouted that he was busy and then asked the dude to sort himself out. The tamer reminded Chris that he couldn't fight because he was only a monster tamer and didn't have any battle skills. This revelation made Chris furious. After all, this was just the third day the new guy had joined the team, and it had been from one complaint to another like an old hag. Regardless, Chris ordered the resident mage Selene to help out the dude. Immediately, Selene summoned Whirlwind and blasted most of the demons away. Meanwhile, the rest of the team continued to struggle against the monsters no matter how hard they tried. This predicament made Chris really pissed. He could not understand what the heck was going on. They were supposed to be the hero's party, yet they found themselves overwhelmed by the demons. To be clear, Chris's team was blessed with immense power. Blynia, even though he was just a monster tamer, had a rare power that let him control monsters. Van, the holy knight in armor, was really good at protecting everyone. Mia was like the team's bodyguard. She stopped enemies and also healed people. Selene, the spirit king, could use many powers by calling on spirits. And Chris, the leader of the team, was known as the Sword Saint. He used the power of light and was amazing at both attacking and defending. Even the lead wyvern, the one in charge of the demons, commended the individual strength of the team but told Chris that as a party, they were all over the place. Chris got angry at this and told the wyvern to shut his filthy. Then, he ran toward the wyvern and tried to slash him with his sword. But it was a trick. The real wyvern was behind Chris. The wyvern grabbed Chris by the neck and slammed his head to the ground. Then the wyvern smugly told Chris that his team was falling apart because Chris didn't know how to lead them in battle. Chris looked at his team and realized the wyvern was right. They really were struggling. Selene suggested they should retreat and leave the fight. Chris immediately disagreed. He insisted that the demons weren't higher than the ones they had been crushing. When all the team members agreed on retreating, Chris shouted, reminding them that he was the hero and he would never run away from any demons. Despite his protests, the rest of the team ignored him and started to leave. Chris got furious, but realizing he could not take on the demons by himself, he reluctantly agreed they retreat. Chris told them to use the light realm to cover their escape. A bright light filled the whole area, and the demons had to cover their eyes. When the demons saw the team trying to run away, they laughed and made fun of them, calling them spineless cowards. Even so, Chris's team escaped. After they got out, Chris was furious. He punched a wall and shouted at the team, asking how many times they had run away in just a few weeks. The team tried to explain that there were too many demons, but that just made Chris more upset. He said everything had gone wrong ever since the useless new monster tamer joined them. Feeling attacked, Blynia defended himself. He stated that the monsters in there were way more advanced for his skill to tame. Hearing this made Chris even more mad. Chris informed him that Lewin, their former monster tamer, used to tame and weaken advanced level creatures, to which Blynia replied he had never heard anything like that. Van started thinking deeply. He said he now realized that Lewin had always helped the team. Lewin used to warn them about danger and gave good advice that kept them safe. Furthermore, Van revealed that at crucial moments when they were about to get into trouble, Lewin always gave them sound advice that consistently got them out of a tough spot. Selene jumped in and agreed. She admitted that Lewin had been the person that removed every obstacle they came against as a team, which had helped them to focus on the enemy in front of them. She also noted that Lewin was skilled with weapons, which had helped their defense, and looking back now, it was obvious that Lewin had always been the support they needed from behind the scenes. Chris's ego got bruised, and when he tried arguing that Lewin was only able to give the team support because of the combined strength of the team, Selene said it wasn't true. Selene explained that it was because of Lewin's remarkable support that Chris was even able to become a hero. Selene further stated that even though Chris and Mia were both skilled and powerful, it was all thanks to Lewin who made it possible for them to fully utilize their powers. Selene concluded by informing Chris and Mia that Lewin was helping a great deal, but they just didn't see it. Right away, Chris and Mia got defensive. Mia said Selene was wrong and even lied by saying that Chris didn't kick Lewin out, that Lewin left on his own. Selene was surprised, and when she asked Chris if what Mia said was the truth, Chris could not say a word and began to stutter. Consequently, this made Selene start to suspect something was wrong, and then she informed Chris and Mia that she and Van weren't even told that Lewin had left the party. Chris just stood there and didn't know what to say. Immediately, Selene pointed out that they'd all been friends with Lewin and had known him for a long time. Because of that, she reminded them that Lewin was not the type to give up on something once his mind was made up. At that moment, Chris finally regained his speech. Desperately, Chris joined into Mia's lie and said Lewin had truly left on his own. Chris claimed Lewin had left because he said he had other things to do. Then, Chris quickly changed the subject. He said they shouldn't even be talking about Lewin and should focus on the real problem, which was why they were failing quests over and over again. Chris angrily reminded the team that as the heroes party tasked with defeating the Demon King, if they couldn't manage to take on smaller demons, then their status as the heroes party would be revoked. Van tried to say something, but Chris yelled at him to be quiet and stop bringing up Lewin. Chris said he was tired of talking about Lewin and told everyone to get ready for their next mission. As they left, Chris was still very angry. He hated the fact that the entire team was bowing to Lewin like Lewin was that amazing. To him, Lewin was weak, skillless, and inferior. Meanwhile, in another place, Lewin and Sasha were having a mock battle. Sasha used her whirlwind of flames to attack Lewin, but Lewin dodged it using his sword. Sasha smiled and sent more fire toward him. To defend himself, Lewin awakened his demon gear and whipped out a bow. With this weapon, he fired an arrow straight at Sasha. Alarmed, Sasha saw the incredible speed at which the arrow was fired and got scared. Frantically, she tried to block herself against the attack, but the arrow exploded. The Oracle system explained that it was an explosive arrow that blows up when it hits something. Sasha survived the blast and said it was a cool move, but still just a simple attack to her. For her turn, Sasha used dark magic to make bombs and shot them at Lewin. But Lewin used his blade to absorb all the magic from the bombs. Sasha was shocked to see her magic disappear like that. Confidently, Lewin decided it was his turn, but when he tried lifting his blade, he realized it was super heavy. Astonishingly, the size of the blade had multiplied 100 times, shocking Lewin. As Lewin wondered why his blade was so huge, the Oracle system reminded him of his Blade of Rapture's ability to absorb his opponent's ability, thereby leading to the enlargement of the blade. Sasha saw that Lewin couldn't move his sword and slowly walked toward him with a smirk on her face. But then she tripped and fell, landing right on her cake. As she tried to get up, Lewin warned her never to underestimate him. Then, using all his strength, Lewin started lifting the massive sword behind him. Sasha was frozen in surprise. She couldn't move. She watched as Lewin raised the sword and aimed it at her. Nervously, she asked what he was planning to do. But before she could even move, Lewin slammed the giant sword down on her. The sword hit the ground with so much force that it shattered everything around. Sasha quickly dived out of the way before Lewin's huge sword squashed her into mincemeat. While lying on the ground, she was amazed that Lewin had pulled off such a powerful attack. But instead of giving up, Sasha got even more fired up. She blasted Lewin with a giant ripple vortex, but Lewin quickly fired one of his demon gear arrows right back at her. Sasha was shocked at how fast the arrow flew at her. She tried to stop it with her whirlwind, but it exploded when it hit. Sasha survived, and when she told Lewin the arrow move was really impressive, Lewin admitted that it was hard to aim the arrows just right. However, in the end, Sasha mentioned that even though it was a very tough battle, it still wasn't enough to defeat her. Lewin calmly said that he never planned to beat her head-on. He knew she'd block all his attacks. While he was talking, Sasha noticed something strange in front of her. Another arrow was flying straight at her at blinding speed. She immediately did the Matrix slow-mo move and dodged the attack. The arrow hit the ground instead and exploded. The explosion threw Sasha to the ground, but when she stood back up almost immediately, Lewin commended her on surviving such a surprising attack without a single scratch. Sasha looked at him and noticed Lewin didn't have a bow anymore. So she asked if he had really shot that arrow during their fight. Lewin said yes, he shot it during the first explosion. Lewin explained that he had fired many arrows into the sky, and they were set to hit just behind her all at once. Sasha was shocked and impressed. She told Lewin he was amazing and had gone way beyond what she expected. When she asked what kind of training he had been doing, Lewin started listing all the hard training exercises he had gone through. Sasha told him to stop, she was already impressed. Then Lewin told her it was all thanks to her, because she gave him a new dream to follow. That made Sasha blush and act a little shy. After that, Sasha said their sparring match was over. As they walked on their journey, she told Lewin it was hard to believe someone as skilled and talented as him had been kicked out of the hero's party. She added that whoever kicked him out must have been a complete fool. She said if the team had any brains, they never would have let him go. Lewin was surprised by her words and thanked her, saying that made him feel happy. Not long after, Lewin and Sasha reached the town of Urgu. They went straight into a restaurant to eat. While there, Lewin noticed Sasha eating like a useless thief and told her they were out of money. Sasha was shocked and asked why he didn't have any cash. Before Lewin could answer, she asked if he was one of those poor, miserable people who live a sad life. Lewin got annoyed and told her not to insult him. He reminded her that it was because of her crazy eating habits that all his money was gone. When Sasha asked again if he was really poor, Lewin said he had a good amount of money, but she spent it all by ordering every single thing on the menu. In response, Sasha said it was bad enough that Lewin made her his subordinate, but now he couldn't even feed her. Since they had no money, Sasha suggested they take on a job at the Adventurers Guild. Soon, they arrived at the guild. As they walked in, Sasha commented that this place had taken the lives of many of her demon followers. But Lewin reminded her those demons were the same ones who attacked innocent people. They walked up to the front desk and met a cheerful girl who asked if they wanted to take a request. Lewin said yes, but Sasha quickly cut in, shouting that they were broke and needed a high-paying job fast. However, the front desk girl, on noticing that Lewin was a B rank, apologized and said there weren't any high-paying jobs available at his level. Lewin was annoyed and asked why they couldn't take a higher job. The girl explained that adventurers could only take jobs that matched their strength. Sasha got fired up and looked like she was ready to fight, but Lewin held her back and calmly told the girl that they'd accept whatever request matched his rank. With that, the girl looked through the B rank requests and suddenly found one. She said there was an ongoing fierce battle not too far from where they were. The job was to subjugate a dragon. Lewin was interested and asked if that kind of job wasn't usually handled by a hero's party. The receptionist said yes, but then pointed out that the hero team that was supposed to handle it had already run away. Lewin was surprised. Then the receptionist told him something shocking. The hero party that failed was Chris's team. Lewin couldn't believe it. Before he could even say anything, the receptionist explained that since no hero team was stepping in, B-rank adventurers like him were now allowed to help. Still in shock, Lewin asked if it was the same Chris he used to know, the one who kicked him out of the party. The receptionist said yes, it was that very same party. She even added that Chris's team hadn't been able to complete a single quest in a while. That made Lewin curious. He started to wonder if something had changed in the team after he left. So, Lewin told the receptionist that he understood and that he would take on the request. After walking for half a day toward where the dragon was, Sasha started whining about being hungry. She threw a big tantrum, just like a spoiled little kid. But Lewin reminded her that they only took this job because her stomach was always empty. With the way she acted, Lewin joked that even though Sasha was a demon, she acted more like a human. Sasha immediately disagreed to his statement and said if he wanted proof that she was a demon, she was ready to show him. She quickly grabbed Lewin by his collar and pushed her forehead right into his face, telling him to look closely. Lewin stared at forehead and noticed something weird. He noticed a tiny horn on her head and found it kinda cute. That made Sasha super mad. She shouted, asking Lewin never to call the Demon King cute. Then she head-butted him, making Lewin stumble back in pain. Lewin rubbed his forehead and teased her, asking if she was just shy about her small horn. Sasha got even angrier and started chasing him, yelling that she was a powerful demon and definitely not shy about anything. Suddenly, a loud sound echoed through the forest, and both of them stopped. They ran toward the noise and saw something terrible. Knights were lying on the ground, not moving. As they rushed in to see what was happening, They looked up and saw a giant dragon flying in the sky. Down below, a group of adventurers were trying to fight the dragon. Some were mages, blasting it with magic, while others were archers firing arrows. The arrows hit the dragon's skin and made it shriek in pain. Lewin watched the battle and told Sasha it looked like the adventurers had everything under control, and maybe they weren't even needed. But Sasha saw something different. She noticed that the dragon wasn't really hurt. It was pulling the arrows out of its skin and knocking away all the magic attacks like they were nothing. The adventurers realized their attacks weren't working and started to panic. Some of them even suggested they escape with their life still intact. One of the adventurers, a smart one with glasses, warned that if they ran, the dragon would just go and attack the nearby town. So, the group decided to try one last big attack together, all at once. But just as they were getting ready, the dragon suddenly dove down from the sky, heading right toward them like it was ready to wipe them all out. Then something surprising happened. The dragon stopped in midair. Everyone froze and stared up in shock, wondering why it had paused. Then they saw the reason. Sasha had summoned glowing fireballs around her. Sasha was getting pissed and immediately launched her massive fireballs at the dragon. However, the dragon moved at an incredible speed and avoided every one of her fiery blasts. While other adventurers were in awe of how Sasha could perform such powerful magic without a single chant, Lewin was more concerned about what attack would be able to hit the dragon mid-air. Seeing that the dragon had avoided every one of her fire attacks mid-air, Sasha was even more angry while the dragon just grinned, clearly enjoying every bit of Sasha's frustration. Consequently, Sasha was furious seeing the dragon grinning. Out of anger, she summoned a magical circle and was ready to blast the proud dragon with enough flames that would turn the entire place into a scorched wasteland. But Lewin immediately yelled at her to stop, trying to make her see reason. Unfortunately, Sasha wouldn't listen. She had lost her sanity out of anger and asked Lewin to shut it. She angrily declared that the creature had mocked her and deserved to pay dearly for that mistake. Before Sasha could cause any harm, Lewin immediately commanded her to stay down and not move. He cautioned her to stop being reckless and to keep an eye on the dragon while he figured something out, and Sasha obeyed instantly like a good girl. Just then, some of the adventurers' party walked over and asked if Lewin and Sasha were part of the heroes' party. Lewin told them no, they were just adventurers, and he was only B rank. So the adventurers asked Lewin and Sasha to step aside, or they would be squashed like bugs if they were not from the heroes' party. But Lewin stood firm. He declined and assured them that he could take care of the dragon himself. Immediately, Lewin awakened his demonic armor and unleashed his bow of destruction that produces arrows that explode on impact. When Sasha reminded him that the dragon was a smart one and would only evade his attack mid-air, Lewin asked her not to worry but just watch. Lewin accurately fired an arrow at the dragon which impacted. The adventurer parties watching Lewin attack the dragon were amazed at the speed at which Lewin continued to fire arrows at the dragon. Each and every one of Lewin's arrows all impacted the dragon. With each impact, the arrows exploded and the dragon roared in pain. The smart adventurer with glasses noticed how Lewin was attacking the dragon with arrows and commented on how Lewin wasn't even aiming at the dragon. On the contrary, she noticed that Lewin was using the initial arrow and the following barrier to confirm the movement of the dragon. That way, Lewin could predict where the dragon would be next. Skillfully, Lewin fired 10 arrows in quick succession, and as the dragon moved from side to side mid-air, each and every arrow continued to hit. Lewin's continued relentless assault on the dragon angered it, so the dragon started charging towards Lewin. But this was exactly what Lewin had been waiting for. He wanted the dragon to descend. His oracle system announced that the cooldown timer had ended and the arrow replenishment had been completed. With the dragon charging directly at Lewin, he knew the arrogance of the monster. Thinking humans could not follow its movement and allowing itself to be consumed by anger would eventually be its end. Therefore, Lewin prepared his bow, aiming directly at the incoming dragon. He fired straight at the dragon multiple times and they all impacted the dragon. As the dragon stopped and shrieked in pain, Lewin immediately commanded Sasha to attack with her fiery blast. Even though it was unexpected, Sasha was ready. She prepared herself and was ready to let the impudent beast burn. Without wasting time, she summoned catastrophic level flame from the pit of hell and burnt the dragon to a crisp. The dragon was defeated and fell from the sky, and as the beast crashed to the ground with a very loud thud, the adventurers could not believe their eyes that the mighty beast was crumbled by just 2 persons. With the dragon defeated, Sasha asked Lewin if he continually attacked the dragon just to provoke it. In response, Lewin lectured her on how most creatures lose track of their surroundings when they were enraged. Sasha was really impressed with how Lewin handled the dragon and commended him. Lewin blushed a little and complimented her also on how amazingly effective her fiery blast was. Additionally, Lewin pointed out how Sasha had become even much stronger since they'd met. Sasha attributed it to her becoming his demon tamer servant. Afterwards, the knight from the other adventurer party approached Lewin and Sasha and thanked them for saving them. But Lewin shouted that there was no need to thank him. Similarly, the girl with the glasses leading the archers party also approached with another dude and complimented Lewin on how amazing his skill was. They mentioned that even if he was only a B rank, he was more like an S rank hero. Enthusiastically, the knight immediately jumped at Lewin before anyone could and begged him to join his party. Before Lewin could say anything, the girl with glasses mentioned that she was just about to invite Lewin to join her party, and the guy with her said the same. Lewin was shocked. He had never believed that such famous parties would be begging him to join their party. However, seeing the parties trying to snatch Lewin away made Sasha jealous, so she immediately grabbed Lewin by the hand and said they shared a bond deeper than the hole in between her thighs. Sasha clearly informed the parties that she would never hand Lewin over to anyone. When the girl in glasses asked if Lewin and Sasha were a couple, Lewin misunderstood what she asked and then said he and Sasha were planning on traveling together. But Sasha was done with the issue and began to urge Lewin that they go collect the reward at the guild because she was starving. A few weeks later, inside the city's adventurer guild, someone shouted in shock when they heard that the storm dragon had been defeated by just 2 persons. It turned out to be Chris, who demanded to know how that was even possible. A worker at the guild told him that the quest came from a town called Urgu. It said a B-rank adventurer and his partner had beaten the storm dragon. Chris could not believe what he just heard. He could not believe that a B-rank had annihilated the dragon. Even the guild worker said it was hard to believe, but it had been confirmed. When Chris asked who the B-rank adventurer was, the worker looked through some papers. Chris's soul nearly left his body when the man revealed that the B-rank was none other than Lewin. Chris quickly asked again to make sure he heard right. Before the worker could say anything else, Selene, who was nearby, jumped in and asked if Lewin really defeated the dragon. The worker was surprised by their reactions, but Selene already figured out the truth on her own. She then asked if Lewin was still an adventurer. The worker said yes, and Selene smiled with joy, happy that Lewin hadn't quit. Chris, however, was angry. He grabbed the worker by the collar and called him a liar. Chris said Lewin, who he called an incompetent fool, could never beat a dragon that even him, the hero, had to run away from. The worker, gasping for air, said it was true. The man also said that Lewin's achievement was already the talk of the guild, and some people were even calling for Lewin to be made an S rank already. Chris lost it. Chris declared that it would be over his dead body that Lewin would ever be an S rank, and then bragged that he was the only one who deserved to be praised by everyone. Meanwhile, Mia, the betrayer, also chimed in, pointing out that it must have all been some random coincidence and Lewin must have just gotten lucky. Chris, on the other hand, continued to lose his mind. It was a hard pill to swallow. Then Selene, looking serious, asked Chris if he had lied to everyone. Chris began to stammer, but Selene didn't let him speak. She said it all made sense now. Lewin wouldn't have left the party without telling her unless something was wrong. That said, Selene turned and said it was fine, but made it known that she was no longer a member of the party. As Selene walked away, Chris became desperate and finally told her the truth. He said he kicked Lewin out because he thought Lewin wasn't good enough to stay. Selene was disappointed and said it was the dumbest reason she'd ever heard. She told Chris she was going to find Lewin. Chris tried to stop her and begged her not to go, but Selene was already out the door and bid him farewell. Chris chased after her, but at that moment, Selene magically flew away. Chris was devastated as he dropped to his knees in tears. Mia tried to comfort him, assuring him that even with Selene gone, they could still look for her replacement. But Chris immediately yelled at her and said she would never understand. Later that day, Chris sat alone at a bar, drinking sadly. A strange man came up to him and asked if he was Chris. Chris demanded to know who the heck the man was. The man said he never thought he'd meet Chris the hero in a noisy bar, and then introduced himself as the man whose life Chris had saved a long time ago from a demon attack. Chris didn't remember him, but the man explained that during one of his travels he was once attacked by demons, but thanks to Chris and his party, he was saved and able to continue his journey. The man said he was now a priest at a branch of the Church of Alfra, but demons had been attacking him again, and before starting his new job, he wanted to make sure they were gone. The cloaked man also said the church was ready to pay a special compensation. However, Chris said his party was having problems, and the man guessed that Chris was alone. Then, the man put a strange item on the table. It looked like a ring. He told Chris that the ring was made by the church after lots of research, and that it could make someone's skills much stronger. This was just what Chris needed. He picked up the ring and agreed to take the job. Chris felt hopeful again. He believed with the object in his hand, he would finally be able to turn his terrible luck around, and if things went as planned, then everything should return to normal. Meanwhile, in town, Lewin and Sasha were walking after a big meal. Lewin joked that Sasha had eaten too much, but she said she was only 80% full. Sasha then suggested they leave town to find the other demon kings since she could now sense where one of them was. As it turned out, Sasha to a certain extent could now sense the huge amount of power from the other demon king and the direction from where it was coming. Therefore, they decided to quickly head to the other town before sunset. Suddenly, someone shouted Lewin's name from behind them. Lewin turned back immediately and was utterly shocked to see Selene, who expressed how grateful she was to see that Lewin was still in the town. Out of excitement, she threw herself at Lewin. Consequently, they collapsed to the ground with Selene on top of Lewin, while Sasha stood over them watching in surprise what was going on. After the awkward hug, Selene apologized that it looked like they all abandoned Lewin, but explained that it hadn't been long before she just got the truth from Chris. Lewin said it was okay but asked her to get off him because she was squishing him. Selene did just that and then apologized, saying she was just happy to see him. Lewin replied saying he was also happy to see her and then asked about Chris's party. In response, Selene told him she left Chris's party, and then explained that she could not forgive Chris for kicking him out of the party, and for also lying to everybody about it. Selene then asked if she and Lewin could start a new team together and maybe find others to help defeat the Demon King. Sasha interrupted, angry. She said Selene had no right to act friendly after letting Lewin be kicked out. Selene apologized for her statement and then asked Sasha if she was the one who defeated the storm dragon with Lewin, and Sasha confirmed she was. Sasha explained that Lewin was helping her achieve her ambitions as her right-hand man. When Selene demanded to know what ambitions Sasha was talking about, Lewin had no other option but to let the cat out of the bag. Thus, Lewin finally revealed to Selene that Sasha was a demon king and then showed her the little horn on Sasha's head. Selene was shocked. She demanded to know from Lewin what the demon king was doing with him and if he had been captured by Sasha. But Sasha interrupted and explained that it was the other way round and Lewin was her master. Lewin explained he was now a demon king tamer. He could control demon kings and use their power, which helped him unlock a class change. Selene said she had never heard of a demon king tamer before, and concluded that Lewin must have been fooled by Sasha since Lewin had always been naive. This made Sasha angry, and consequently, the two women started to exchange words. Nevertheless, Lewin immediately cut in and asked Selene to chill a bit. Lewin asked Selene if she remembered the stories of how humans were always being attacked by demons. Selene, now calm, said she remembered. She explained that it was a story they have always been told since they were little. Lewin then asked if she had ever stopped to think that maybe all they've been taught in the Alfrey Church had all been a lie and the demons weren't hostile like they've been told. Moreover, Lewin further explained that Sasha and the rest of the other demons had been taught similar teachings that humans were bad. Still, Selene was stubborn. She didn't want to believe what Lewin was saying and insisted that Lewin was still being deceived by Sasha. Sasha had gotten enough of Selene's insult. Therefore, she unleashed her fire bombs and was about to blast her. Selene also was not letting it slide and also prepared herself for the action. But just as Sasha swore to make Selene pay for all the foolish words she had been uttering, Lewin immediately commanded Sasha to halt, and Sasha froze instantly. Lewin begged Sasha to calm down and then mentioned that there was no reason for either of them to fight. Selene was shocked seeing Sasha obeying Lewin's order and immediately asked what was going on. Lewin mentioned that it was what he had been trying to tell her all this while, that as a demon tamer, he had total control over the movement of the Demon King. It was at that moment Selene finally understood all that Lewin was trying to say. So she apologized to Sasha for being a pixel head. Selene turned to Lewin and said she had never seen anything like his demon taming skills before. Lewin agreed that it was a rare skill, but mentioned that now he was working with Sasha to achieve peace between humans and demons. When Selene asked if the demons and humans could ever live in peace, Sasha answered, Sasha told her to believe it or not. But back when she was in power, she was really close to achieving the peace they were now seeking. However, that was until the former demon tamer showed up and ruined everything. Lewin chimed in, revealing to Selene that some demons actually just wanted to live in peace. Furthermore, Lewin pointed out that if it was possible in the past, then it would be possible now in the present. Selene said she believed all what they said. She reminded Lewin that there were many records mentioning demons and humans coexisting together, but the church had dismissed them as fabricated nonsense, and now it was forbidden to read the books. Nevertheless, Selene said all her life she had never come across a demon who didn't harbor ill intentions towards humans. She further mentioned that humans and demons had been at war for hundreds of years, and it might be difficult all of a sudden to start holding hands and making peace. For the first time, Sasha agreed to what Selene said and explained that even in the past, it wasn't easy for her to change ideas that had been imprinted in the minds of people for generations. Lewin was shocked to see the girls agreeing for the first time. Just then, an idea struck, making him realize that both girls joining forces might just be what he needed. Therefore, he excitedly mentioned to the girls that he just had an idea. The girls were curious, so Lewin mentioned that to deepen the understanding between them, it would be best they held a cultural exchange meeting. Leaving the girls even more confused, Lewin explained that the cultural exchange meeting meant going around the city together and seeing what it was like. So, the event started with Sasha wearing a silly clown costume. She felt super embarrassed, but Lewin kept saying the outfit looked good on her, which made her even more embarrassed. Sasha didn't agree and told him the outfit looked dumb. She thought Lewin was just messing with her. Then Selene joined in and said Sasha looked kind of cute, which made Sasha even more upset. She told Selene to shut her trap and warned her never to call her cute again. Sasha didn't want to be the only one dressed up like a clown, so she marched off to the clothes store, saying she would get silly outfits for Lewin and Selene too. Selene decided to go with her. While picking out clothes, Sasha and Selene started arguing about which clothes would look best on Lewin. Selene said she knew Lewin the longest, so she should choose. Sasha didn't agree. Then, Sasha asked if Selene had ever dated Lewin. Selene got really flustered and couldn't answer properly. Sasha guessed they had never even kissed or done anything romantic. She started teasing Selene and Lewin for still being virgins even after knowing each other for so long. After shopping, they all dressed up and went to a carnival nearby. There, Sasha started eating tons of food again. The carnival people gave them a huge pile of pancakes, which made Sasha very happy but shocked Lewin and Selene. Sasha ate like a wild animal, which embarrassed Lewin a lot. Later, Selene asked Sasha what she thought about the human city. Sasha said the food was great, and that if demons and humans lived together in peace, there might not be any big problems. But Selene disagreed. She said humans didn't always like demons, and if too many people came into the city, it could make life harder for everyone. Sasha said she understood and explained that when she was in charge, she tried to fix those kinds of problems. Selene then wanted to know why Sasha cared so much about making peace between demons and humans. Sasha got a little emotional. Selene told her she didn't have to answer, but Sasha said it was time she told Lewin the reason. Sasha revealed that everything started a very long time ago when she met this young human girl, whom she eventually ended up living with. She had met this human girl close to her castle. At first, she tried to act scary to chase the little girl away from her territory. But suddenly she realized that the girl seemed rather lost, malnourished, and might die anytime soon. Therefore, she had compassion and took the girl to her castle. Initially, she did that just to gather information about humans. She took the girl inside her castle, and then asked her servant to prepare a nice warm bath for her. While bathing with the girl finally opened up about her tragic backstory. The girl revealed that both her parents were murdered by other humans while she was sold into slavery. Fortunately, she managed to escape and was rescued by a demon. At first, because of the trauma she experienced as a slave, she could barely speak, but after a year and a half, she and the demon that rescued her became extremely close. In the following weeks, Sasha and this girl also became close. One day, the girl asked Sasha why everyone in the castle was so nice to her and didn't even try to eat her. Sasha was shocked hearing this. She asked the girl why on earth would they even try to eat her and what crazy things were humans even teaching their young ones these days. Nevertheless, the girl insisted on knowing why the demons in the castle were so nice to her. Sasha answered, claiming that the reason was because they wanted to learn about the human world from her. The girl immediately disagreed. She called Sasha a liar and then pointed out that since she had been in the castle, no one had ever asked her about the human world. When the curious girl demanded to know why Sasha was always fighting with the humans, Sasha explained that it was because the humans had always attacked them. However, the girl said it was not one-sided and demons also attacked humans, which Sasha reluctantly agreed to. That said, Sasha noticed that the girl still seemed bothered by something, so she asked the girl to speak her mind. The little girl then spoke up, saying she was afraid of Sasha fighting with the humans since she had always been so kind to her. The little girl then asked Sasha if she ever thought of humans and demons getting along like the way she and Sasha were. Sasha froze while standing, hearing this question. She had never seen anyone with the kind of thinking that the girl had. Sasha, still in shock, immediately explained to the little girl that humans had been tasked by the goddess Alfira to totally eradicate all her kind. But even after hearing this, the girl was still persistent and asked if Sasha saw her as an enemy. Sasha told her she was quite different from other humans, but the girl said she was wrong. The little girl explained that at first when she came to the castle, she couldn't even speak to anyone because everyone in the castle was a demon, but that changed over time when she got used to things. Then, out of nowhere, the girl hugged Sasha. The girl revealed that she had grown to love her and everyone else in the castle as much as she loved her mama and papa. Sasha was flustered. She had never been hugged in her life, and even worse, from a human girl. Sasha immediately clarified that she was nothing like her parents, but not that she disliked her, she actually did like her. Sasha noticed the little girl was touched and started crying, so she begged the girl to stop crying. The girl looked up and then asked if everyone would stop the senseless war and become friends. Consequently, Sasha was touched by the girl's sincerity, and it was that day Sasha swore to do everything possible to make it happen. Sasha carried the girl up and swore to end the war and bring peace between demons and humans. This made the little girl happy, and she smiled. Seeing how sincerely the girl smiled, Sasha grew even more fond of the girl's smile, and was prepared to do everything in her power to keep the girl smiling that way. Back in the present, when Selene curiously demanded to know what happened to the little girl, Sasha revealed that sadly, the little girl died without seeing her dream come to life. Furthermore, Sasha revealed that the girl was with her the day the former demon king Tame attacked the castle. Sasha made it known that Alfira should be blamed for everything because it was the goddess that was hell-bent on pitting humans against demons. Moreover, Sasha revealed that after the death of the girl, she contemplated wiping out all of humanity, but she had a rethink. She thought that the little girl might be gone, but her dreams still lived on. Therefore, she decided that for her sake and for the sake of humans and demons alike, she would bear the responsibility to fulfill her promise. After hearing Sasha's sad story, Selene said the story was depressing, and that was the reason initially she had earlier mentioned that she was quite skeptical if humans and demons could ever coexist. Nevertheless, Selene pointed out that after spending time with Sasha, she had seen she was no different from a human. Selene listed that Sasha got embarrassed just like humans do. She got angry when she made mistakes, and loved eating delicious meals. Sasha also interrupted, saying initially she happened to have the same negative feeling about building a country with humans, but her perception of humans started to improve slowly. Lewin, after listening to the girls' bonding, pointed out that he was glad they had the meeting. He also admitted to have misunderstood Sasha, and then apologized. Furthermore, Lewin mentioned that if there were people like Sasha amongst the demons, then Sasha was right, and they could really live together. After the cultural meeting that day, later that night at the inn, Sasha burst into Lewin's bedroom. She said she was bored and needed someone to talk with. Lewin immediately asked her to go to sleep but complained of her dressing when he noticed Sasha was dressed like a stripper. Sasha started to tease Lewin, asking if her suspicious dressing turned him on. Consequently, Lewin immediately started to stammer. This made Sasha mention that she had seen that Lewin was nothing but an inexperienced virgin who had never experienced the pleasure between a man and woman. To confirm her claim, Sasha pointed out that even after taming her, Lewin had never taken advantage of her. At first, she had thought Lewin was not into demon women, but now she could tell he was just a virgin. Before Lewin could respond to her accusations, Sasha immediately jumped on top of him. She firmly declared that night she was going to take the thing he had been protecting for so long, and she was taking it by force. Lewin struggled and tried so hard not to get cultured by Sasha. Sasha, seeing him act so defensive, told Lewin that he should be grateful because back in the days when she was still the reigning demon king, there wasn't a single man who was even worthy of her attention. Then she pushed Lewin down on the bed and said she was going to give him a special kind of fun. Lewin quickly shouted that he didn't want any special fun at all. But Sasha didn't listen. She opened the buttons of her shirt and pushed Lewin's face into her melons. Lewin couldn't breathe. His eyes got big, and his arms stretched out like a frozen chicken. But suddenly, Selene entered the room. She was furious and demanded to know what the heck was even going on. Lewin and Sasha froze in shock seeing how angry Selene was. Lewin immediately tried explaining that there was a very good explanation for what was ongoing, but that only made Selene even angrier. To make matters worse, Sasha tried offering that they have a three-way intense piping, but that was all Selene needed to hear before blasting both Lewin and Sasha out the window. Later that day, while the team continued their journey to the town of the nearest demon king, Lewin and Sasha continued to apologize to Selene for what happened back at the inn. After much pleading, Selene said she would forgive them, but warned Sasha to never lay her filthy hands on Lewin like that again. Then Selene looked at Lewin and demanded to know the usefulness of commanding the demon king when he cannot even use it when it matters the most. Lewin felt embarrassed because he knew she was right. But before he could say anything, Sasha jumped into the conversation. She told Selene she was being too dramatic, especially since Selene wasn't even Lewin's babe. Sasha said that Lewin was very free to clap any girl or clap a harem of chicks if he wanted to. Sasha even said she could have Lewin in her bed and it still wouldn't be Selene's business. Selene didn't know what to say, she was totally shocked. Then Sasha said that from the way Selene had acted, it was obvious she wanted Lewin all to herself. Selene got red with embarrassment and yelled, asking why Sasha would say that. Sasha replied that Selene's jealousy showed she didn't want anyone to take Lewin away from her. Selene was so embarrassed, and before she could respond, Sasha shouted that it was obvious Selene loved Lewin. Selene tried to argue, and the two girls started fighting in the middle of the road. Then, out of nowhere, someone called out Lewin's name. Lewin turned around and saw an aged man in a black coat and a hat. The man introduced himself as Siriot, the butler who worked for Lord Regan, the ruler of the town. Siriot said that Lord Regan wanted to meet Lewin privately because he was the one who defeated the mighty storm dragon. Siriot also said that the meeting was regarding the extermination of monsters attacking the town and the rescue of someone very important. Then the story shifted to a deep forest where a huge explosion had just happened. Demons were being wiped out. It turned out to be Chris and his team unleashing massacre on some set of demons. Mia was really amazed at how strong Chris had become. She and Van said Chris was now 10 times stronger than before. Chris then smiled smugly and said they should let him handle all the demons by himself. One angry demon didn't like how cocky Chris was and felt disrespected, so the demon immediately charged at Chris to end his life. But Chris blocked the attack easily and dodged all the demon's moves. The demon was surprised that Chris wasn't even flinching from his attack. Before the demon could understand what was going on, Chris hit him hard and sent him flying. The demon hit the ground and coughed up blood. Chris was thrilled with his new strength and said no monster could beat him now. He walked over to the demon and asked if they were the ones attacking the human towns. Before the demon could say anything, Chris told him he would destroy all of them. Just as Chris was about to finish the demon off, Lewin and his team arrived. Lewin was surprised to see Chris and asked what he was doing there. Chris replied coldly and asked why Lewin wanted to know. When Lewin said that the local lord sent him to stop the monsters, Chris said he was too late because he was about to defeat the last demon. But then the demon stood up again and said he had to protect his village. A little demon girl ran up to the demon, calling him Kiba and begging the adventurers not to hurt him. Then more little demon kids showed up, also begging them not to hurt Kiba. They said he was only trying to protect them because the humans didn't give them any food. Lewin was confused. The little demon girl explained that at first, Kiba asked the humans nicely for food, but they were chased away just because they were demons. Selene then said that they heard from the Lord himself that Kiba had kidnapped his daughter, and that was a very serious problem. But before Kiba or the kids could say anything, a girl's voice shouted that she wasn't kidnapped at all. Kiba got upset that the girl came out because he told her to stay hidden. The girl introduced herself as Anne, the Lord's daughter, and said Kiba had saved her, not kidnapped her. Anne explained that some monsters attacked her carriage, and Kiba rescued her and even took care of her since then. Anne also said that while the demons might have taken a few things to help her, they didn't hurt anyone. Chris still didn't care. He said at the end of the day stealing was stealing, and that's what demons did. Therefore, Chris threatened that Kiba would still have to be punished. Chris moved to attack again, but Lewin stepped in to block him. Chris got mad and told Lewin to move, but Lewin said he wanted to talk to the demons first. Chris got more upset and reminded Lewin that demons should always be taken down. Selene spoke up and told Chris to calm down. She said things had changed and that she realized demons weren't much different from humans. But Chris didn't listen. He called her a traitor and shouted that no one asked for her advice. Chris told Lewin to get out of the way again, but Lewin refused. Lewin stubbornly insisted he have a talk with the demons, and just maybe the demons could eventually become their allies. Anne, on seeing both men standing their grounds, tried talking some sense into Chris. Anne asked Chris to listen to Lewin. She told him that all some demons wanted was to live alongside humans. This made the situation even worse as Chris mentioned that he wasn't sure Anne was even the Lord's daughter, but might be someone siding with the demons. Chris threatened to end all their lives if they didn't move out of the way. At that moment, Ban jumped in and tried to calm things down, saying they should try to make peace. But the witch, Mia, interrupted. She agreed with Chris and said she was tired of Lewin's attitude. She told Chris to go ahead and end Lewin's life and anyone else who helped the Demon King. Seeing Chris drawing out his weapon, Lewin asked Chris if he really wanted to go that way. Chris, with weapon ready, replied, reminding Lewin that if they meet head-on, he was certainly no match for him. Who would win this much anticipated duel between Lewin and Chris? Comment Demon Lord Tamer if you're eager to find out in our part 2. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more content like this. As always, thanks for watching.